Welcome everybody to Football Discussion Daily. My name is Joe. I'm here with my co-host. His name is
EGO.
CGO or George. It is the 27th of January 2026, and we are talking about the final match day in the Champions League group phase tomorrow. There are 18 games, so too much to talk about, but we're going to focus on two individual games that have high stakes tomorrow. First is PSG Newcastle. If there's a winner, they're guaranteed uh, bye. If there is a loser, they almost certainly will not get a bye. If there's a draw, I think both teams need results in other areas in order to be guaranteed a bye. The other game we will be talking about is Napoli against Chelsea. Chelsea probably need a win in order to get that first round bye. Napoli definitely need at least a result, probably a win in order to even qualify at all. And so that's a big match. Napoli also has several ex Chelsea players and even an ex Chelsea manager, which adds a little more drama to that. So it's exciting. There's a couple other games that might be mentioned here and there. Our focus today is going to be on those two. George, what are your predictions for tomorrow? What are things to watch out for?
Well, tomorrow is going to be an exciting day in the Champions League because a lot of teams just have to get victory for them to either get a bye to the round of 16. If not, maybe they will just end up playing the playoffs. And I know most teams would rather prefer to avoid playing the playoff, reduce the number of games they will have to play this season. So the game between PSG and Newcastle is going to be a cracker. Uh, like you said, either of both sides have to just win in order to guarantee their place in the round of 16. The last time Newcastle visited the Paris, that was 2023-2024 Champions League. I remember they were able to secure a draw in that game. In fact, PSG were very lucky to get a draw because the equalizer they got in that game was a very controversial one. So visiting Newcastle, visiting Paris again, I guess that might be a boost for Newcastle. They have the players that can really fight, and we all know how Newcastle plays. They are very, very aggressive when they play their opponents, and that helps them a lot. Most times when the game starts, they try to be very aggressive. They use lots of energy and see if they can get early goal and then subdue their opponents. We wait tomorrow to see, but we all know PSG, they are defending champions, and I'm sure they would like to make it get guarantee their place in the round of 16. So the PSG that Newcastle played 2 seasons ago is not the same. The Newcastle PS, the Newcastle, the PSG they played against 2 seasons ago is not the same PSG they will be playing this time. Now they are
This is
playing against the champions of Europe,
this
so
is
it's
also a
going to be
very
very, very
different.
tough.
It's also a very different Newcastle team. I mean, they've lost Alexander Isak.
Exactly, yeah.
Their midfield, which is their strength, is still marginally the same. I think Tonali was on a ban during that game, but Joe Litton, Bruno, kind of the core of their team. I think their strength is their midfield are still on the team and likely to play tomorrow, and so I do feel like uh, Newcastle, so they swapped out Isak for Woltemade, which doesn't really change their play style that much. Like you said, George, they're still gonna if they're gonna beat you, it's gonna be physical in the midfield, and they're used to that every single week. When PSG, um, even in their run last year, they did beat Arsenal, Liverpool on the way to the final, but they may not be as used to that week to week as some of these Premier League teams are. I actually think League One as a league is quite physical. No, it's not as fast paced as Premier League or quality isn't as high, but like play style wise, I've seen a couple League One games and those guys are pretty intense physically. I'd also say MLS is the same way, not as skillful as Premier League at all, and not even on close to the same level. Similarly physical. So I don't think PSG will be underprepared for that. And you see they beat Arsenal and Liverpool last year, so they certainly were able to do well last year. But this is a different season and
Yeah,
than last year. And 2 years ago, again, they lost Mbappe. That team had Mbappe, so
yes.
bit of a different beast from the 2 years ago team. But I think largely the same team from last year, right? largely the same team as last year that won.
Of course, yes. PSG is just basically the same team, and most of the players who were injured, like Dembele, they are all back. The likes of Due are in the team, so Newcastle should prepare for a very big match tomorrow. It's not going to be easy because PSG is a very, very good side. We all know the way they play. We saw what they did last season. Even this season, even though they've not been able to replicate what they did in the second stanza of the season last year, I mean last season, but I guess that is because of the injury issues they had at the beginning of this season. So, but now most of the injured players are back, and I think they are going to give Newcastle a very big match tomorrow. I see them winning tomorrow and getting to the round of 16. That's my own prediction.
Yeah. Like I said, the match is in Paris, and I do feel like Newcastle will feel a bit less pressure on this game just because the Premier League game on this coming weekend will probably be a bit more intense than PSG's, and they will have a little bit less opportunity to rotate. I will say this: Luis Enrique is better manager than Eddie Howe. He's won two Champions Leagues. He's won several leagues. And Eddie Howe is not a bad manager by any stretch, but he is not Luis Enrique. I feel like he could get there later in his career to the point where he's that level and talked about amongst the best in Europe. But he's not right now. And Luis Enrique has an ability to elicit an intensity from superstars that he was able to pull out of Barcelona and now did at PSG last year. And he's looking to do it this year as well. So that's a big mismatch right there. Let's move on to the next match. This is Napoli versus Chelsea. And there's a couple ex Chelsea players in Napoli. The biggest one, obviously, George being Billy Gilmore. Um,
Yeah.
but there's obviously, of course, Antonio Conte, Kevin De Bruyne, Romelu Lukaku, as well as some other bunch of other ex Premier League players. But Antonio Conte historically has struggled in the Champions League.
Yes.
The Chelsea manager, Liam Loswar, has he ever coached a Champions League game, George? With
That was against
Strasbourg?
Paf. No. His first Champions League game was Chelsea against Pafos, which they won 1-0 at
Okay,
Stamford Bridge.
so this
Yes.
is his second. In his first one, he
Yeah.
won 1-0 against a team
One
from
exactly.
Cyprus. 1-0. Okay,
Cyprus.
at
Yeah.
home. Okay, so this will be a bit different for intensity for him. This is a Napoli team that is doing okay domestically, not as good as last year, but
Yeah.
obviously with the players like that, they're dangerous and can beat anybody. So, and a team that needs to win, and a Chelsea that wants to win, but at the end of the day, not the end of the world if they don't. I think, like you said, they
Exactly.
definitely want the bye.
Yes.
What do you expect to look for in this game, George?
Well, I think Napoli needs the game more if we are to be honest here because they really need to get victory because they are currently occupying the 25th position in on the table. So they just need to get a victory. They have 8 points, so a victory for them will increase their chances of qualifying for the playoffs. So and for Chelsea, I'm sure the only thing there is that Chelsea would like to at least guarantee their place in the round of 16. So that will be the motivation for them because at this stage, with the way the Premier League is, and then consider the other competition like the Carabao Cup, the English teams most times they play more games when it comes to every season. So in order to not to increase the amount of games Chelsea will have to play, now Chelsea has to win that game at all costs so that they can guarantee at least their spot in the round of 16. So it's going to be a very, very tough game. I expect Napoli to come all out and play Chelsea tomorrow because you can't sit back for a game that is a must win for you. You have to come out. But one danger there is we saw what happened with Inter Milan and Arsenal last week when Inter Milan came out to play, and Arsenal took advantage of that because most of these teams like Chelsea, Arsenal, they struggle a lot with middle table teams or low teams in the table in the Premier League, because most of those teams approach their game using a low block. So, but when you come out to play, well, then it means there's that high chances of them having a lot of space and creating goal scoring chances. So I expect a very, very interesting game tomorrow. Napoli has only won the only two games they've won has been at home. The only draw they had was against the Eintracht Frankfurt. They've not lost at home in the Champions League, even though their away record has been very poor. And for Chelsea, Chelsea has not had a good away record in this season's Champions League. They've played against Bayern in Germany, they lost. They played against Atalanta, they lost away. The only place where they got a draw was against Karabakh. If you look at the record, Chelsea's away record in the Champions League this season has not been nice. But remember, that is under their former manager, Enzo Maresca. Now they have Liam Rosinio, who, if you look at the way Chelsea plays now, they play a bit similar to the Maresca system, but they move the ball more quicker compared to when Maresca was there. So maybe the coach, with the new coach they have, things might really work out for them and they might be able to get victory. But
I think
based on their
tomorrow
record, go
I
ahead.
think I think tomorrow is a good opportunity for the coach to experiment. It's a really low pressure game, and if he wants to say, "Let's try this that's different than Maresca," because if we don't get a result, it's not the end of the world. It is a good opportunity to do that, and I do feel like the Champions League group stage leads to more games like this. I don't particularly like this new format where I feel like the games are less consequential, especially later. I don't think these clubs really care about two extra games in their schedule. I think that the players definitely want more, especially teams. Chelsea bought they have a very big squad, um, and as do most top teams for situations like this that the extra games don't really matter that much. I do feel like Conte is a better manager than Rosenwehr. That will show. Conte has not done great in Europe, but he is a more capable manager, and there are very experienced players at Napoli. They've always, in the past, in their Champions League runs, been exceptional at home and a very different team away. And I think we'll see that tomorrow. I think we'll see the experience and the uh, necessity is the mother of invention. I feel like that necessity will drive Napoli in a way that it won't Chelsea tomorrow, and that desperation will drive Napoli to that result in a win in the qualification in the round of 16.
Well, we'll see how it goes tomorrow. The reports we got today is that Cole Palmer will be back into the team. Well, even though he has not been that impressive, he has been suffering injuries. The few games he has played for Chelsea this season has not been too fantastic. So,
But he is, I think he still is Chelsea's best creator talent wise. I don't feel like they have anybody else in this who creates from the center. I mean, they have players who can do it. Like, don't get me wrong. I've seen Enzo and Moises Caicedo make a pass, not to the level of consistency that Cole Palmer can. And sometimes a smart coach like Conte can say, "Oh, we're going to shut down the wings because Palmer's out. They're really not going to create centrally." I think a smart coach can really do that. George, let me actually close out today's podcast with a couple of audience discussion questions. Those are one, which game most excites you? Is it Chelsea Napoli? Is it PSG Newcastle? Or is it one of the other games? Who do you think wins in PSG Newcastle? Who do you think wins in Chelsea versus Napoli? What do you like better, the new format or the old format of the Champions League? Let us know your thoughts. Respond on whatever platform below. George and I will make sure to respond. Thanks, everybody.